What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another episode of Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and with me, as always, is my good buddy Link. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? Good to be here. Feels good. First one of the year. We finally made it, so something to celebrate, but still some questions on the table. Maybe more questions than answers, and we're going to get right into it. But first, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Most importantly, make sure you get in those comments. We want to know what you guys think. Agree with us, disagree with us, whatever you want to do. So, but like, subscribe, comment, and we'll get right to it.
Absolutely, and as always, we are sponsored by Red Zone Builders for all your excavation needs. Red Zone Builders. So, like you said, man, we finally got there. Woo! Win! Titans win! Titans win! That is the most exciting thing I can say all week, man. All day today, my coworkers were coming up to me. Hey, man, good job. Slap me on the back like I was part of the team or something, like I did something. I was just like, man, I'm just glad that that they actually won and played good. Well, I mean, played good on defense. Offense was good too. Our run game was good. I don't want to take anything away from anybody, man. They all played well enough to win the game, and that's all I can really ask of them. Just play well enough to win the game. Um, so yeah, let's get into it. Titans 31. 31. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the 12. 12 is the most exciting part to me because if you remember on our pregame, how many points did I say it was going to take to win against Miami? And how many points did I say they would score? I can't remember.
What was it? 13?
Oh, man, it was
Said hold
12.
Miami. No, you saying hold Miami to 13?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I was saying we needed 14 points, I feel
Yeah.
like, to win the game, but I
Yep.
feel like Miami wouldn't score any more than 12. And I nailed that. I was actually really proud of myself on that. I was telling the wife, patting myself on the back and stuff, but I had to give a little bit of a nudge in the show just because, I ain't right a whole lot. So I like it when I, that's not entirely true, but whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the crappy stuff first, man. Let's get the junk out of the way. Uh, Will Levis come out doing Will Levis stuff. Uh, Very first drive, man. I think it was like the fourth or fifth play on the drive, and the only reason we got that much is because we got a penalty for roughing the passer. But threw an interception, was trying to hit D Hop. I don't know how he was trying to hit D Hop. I couldn't even see D Hop.
Pretty blatant interception. Like it wasn't like a oops. I mean, he literally you could read his lips say I didn't see him. So again, we talk about the no vision, we talk about the trying to fit it into tight spots, and when it works it's great, but when it doesn't work that's the result.
Exactly, and that's my point, man. The guy's got to know when to reel it in. And not only that, but on the third drive of the game, the Titans' second offensive drive, I believe, he's running for what turned out to be a third 3 yard gain. Really should have been a 4 yard gain, but whatever. Semantics. And hurts his shoulder.
Yeah.
Takes himself out of the game.
Well,
I mean I mean,
we'll get there. We'll get there.
yeah, I mean, between the interception and hurting his shoulder, he took himself out of the game. So, you know, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to get behind Levis when he continually makes the exact same mistake. And what made it look bad is that it was a read. It was a predetermined read on the snap, before the snap, excuse me, pre-snap, and he didn't make the correct read by what the defensive player did. And then immediately when Mason came in, that was the most,
Yes.
I mean, that was the big deciding factor, was the fact that he was making those quick reads and getting to the correct guys.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and I said it. I said it pregame. About I was concerned because I didn't know what the answer was as far as the initial reads go. I didn't know if he was not seeing it right, if he was just automatically going to that. But you see a big difference, and we're going to get into the controversial stuff later. But just from a quarterback perspective, you can see the difference with Levis making those predetermined read on the snap. His eyes are staring it down. He makes it very obvious where he's going, and that's an experience thing. It just is. That's an experience thing. Hard to develop. It kind of falls on the player to be that guy. Um, but then you see Rudolph come in and he's going first read, second read, third read, goes through his progressions. And credit, I don't know what it was. I mean, maybe it was just my eye test. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I feel like the offensive line felt a little more comfortable with Rudolph back there because they knew where he was. He wasn't drifting out of the pocket. He wasn't moving to his right. It was easier for them to hold up in pass blocking because he stood in the pocket, went through his progressions, and then made the right decision. You just see the difference from an experienced quarterback like Rudolph, who's been in this league, who's been a starter, and Will Levis, who was kind of just thrown out there. And if you haven't listened to it yet, Pat McAfee show today with Aaron Rodgers, he goes through like what makes a successful quarterback and how important it is for Will Levis, or not, he didn't say Will Levis specifically, but for young quarterbacks to be able to sit and to be able to watch an offense and how it's supposed to work before they're just thrown into that situation. And Will Levis never had that. And it's unfair, but it's an unfair league. So for me right now, that's why it's so obvious to see the difference from Rudolph and Levis, and why, in my opinion, I think Rudolph controlled the offense better than Levis has done all year.
yeah, I mean, you said it pretty much. Rudolph comes in, he's got a chance, man. He's got a chance to make the coaches question things, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
They did question things, so that was awesome. What's up? It's quick, decisive, making the correct reads, like we discussed earlier. And the problem was he didn't do enough
Yep.
for me to make him the immediate starter in the future. And 9 of 17 for 85 yards. The point is he didn't make mistakes.
Yep.
So that, for me right now, makes him better than Levis at the moment.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't know if I ride with Callahan and just say, go for it, start Levis, let's keep going. But if stuff doesn't change, then maybe I'll change my tune. But right now, I mean, the definition of insanity is just doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how many games are we going to let him throw away? Literally
Mm-hmm.
throw away before we stop. But let's move off that, man. Let's stop. Let's stop talking about that.
Hey, look, on the bright side, here's the good part of this. When you look at this as a whole and you look at it objectively, you have a Titans team who was hurting for a win, has to go down to Miami under the circumstances. I mean, let's call it what it is. Miami was a very very depleted team, lost their best pass rusher during the game, start no tackle, third string quarterback, but they went down to Miami. They played pretty complimentary football. They found a running game, and they were able to come out with a win in
Yeah,
90-degree weather with 98% humidity. I mean, it was not fun, but they find a way to get it done in prime time. Their only prime time game of the year. So when you're looking at it from 50,000 feet in the air, it's still a good win for the Titans. And yeah, you come out with some questions, but this at least gives you something to build off of. It's easier to learn from wins than it is to try to learn and hurt from a loss.
yeah, 100%, man. And I was actually impressed in the fact that we were able to keep some people under check. I mean, even yeah, Tyreek Hill is just a freak of nature, man. The
Yeah.
guy is just super fast, and the fact that we kept him somewhat contained for the game speaks volumes for the defense. I don't want to talk about the defense quite yet because that's my super awesome good stuff that I'm leaving for the end. But run game, we mentioned that was good. I don't know if I'd call it great, but it was good. We leaned on it in the end, and it worked out for us. But Pollard and Spears combined for 37 runs, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Ridley had a nice 10-yard gain, I guess, if you want to call that 10 yards on 2 touches. But Pollard has really impressed me, man. I've been really happy with Pollard. Been a pleasant surprise. I really thought this was going to be a Spears breakout year, and he did do well. Don't think I'm taking anything away from him. I'm just saying I am a little bit over the moon with the way that Pollard is handling himself and the way he's handling the ball.
Mhm.
Really impressed.
Yeah, saw a lot more of what this run game is supposed to look like. I mean, there were times when Spears was the premier back. I mean, he was in there, on pretty much a full
Yeah,
drive, and he was successful. I mean, he had some good runs. He did what he was supposed to do. Pollard had a little more breakout in this one. One of those came on a pretty explosive run. I forget the amount of yardage it was, but
41.
yeah, yeah, explosive play. So yeah, I think my question is, I'm still waiting to see some of the stuff where they're both in the backfield. I think that would be an interesting way to kind of build off each other. But we saw more usage out of Spears. We saw a little bit more even on the snap count. So yeah, I was happy with it. And they did a pretty good job with the chip blocks too. I mean, they were helping out on the pass rush. So I saw exactly what I needed to. And I think that's what this running back group is supposed to look like, what we saw in Miami.
Man, I don't know about you, but when I saw Tajay Spears line up in the Wildcat, I got a little bit excited.
Yeah.
And then, man, when he just hit that burst and busted through, I mean, what ended up being a pretty big hole, but it
Yeah.
didn't start off that large. But yeah, it was really nice watching him go in from especially after, Sunday night football. I don't know how many of our viewers watch Sunday night football, but it was cool as far as being a Henry fan, but it was not cool watching him.
Yeah.
Every time my wife would just look at me and go, "See, could just handed him the ball. Even if Levis is terrible, he's still
Yeah.
going to win you a couple games." And I'm like,
Hey,
man,
yeah, that one stung, and it wasn't just him. Even on a Sunday when the Titans weren't playing, and you thought there's no way they can hurt me, you have all these other ex Titans players just showing out. So yeah, I mean, it was a good day of football for anybody who used to be a Titan.
I will say this though: the greatest thing that happened on Sunday was that the Jaguars lost
Oh yeah,
again.
yeah,
So they are the only remaining un
yep,
what do you go winless. Winless is what I
yep.
was trying to get out. My brain kept saying undefeated, and I kept telling it, no, you're
That ain't
wrong,
it.
not
That
undefeated.
ain't it.
No. Yeah, no. What's her name? Layla Anderson had a great post where they caught Lawrence like, in like a breeze type thing, like he's all on the cover of a Fabio book or some crap. It's hilarious. I was getting a kick out of that. I was showing it to my wife. She didn't care, but I was like, "This is fun." Anyway, Folk, man, Folk was money.
Yeah.
Folk was money, son. 5 field goals, tying a career high for him. Uh, Plus, cool note, oldest kicker in NFL history to have three 50-yard field goals in one game.
Yep.
So sweet. And he hit 100%. I mean, you can't ask for better than that, especially with 53, 52, 51, 47, and then the gimme at 29. But I mean, dude,
Nick Folk
money.
scored. Nick Folk scored as many points as the Titans average through the first 3 games. I mean, 17 points by himself. He literally beat this offense through the first three
That is a
games.
that is an impressive stat right
I
there,
mean,
man.
yeah, that pretty much says it all about how this offense has been, and then what he's able to do. So yeah, that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed that stat. I'm gonna have to go back and figure out where I missed that one. The rest of the special teams, aside from JJ and Stonehouse, obviously, JJ's doing average. He's doing well, which average is good for me on a punt returner. It's a lot better than the last couple seasons where we would constantly turn the ball over.
Yep.
But the rest of special teams has been sucking it up. So, I mean, like bad. How close do you have to get? I mean, y'all gonna keep messing around. You know the old. I'll use the abbreviation, but FAFO.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
You keep doing that, and you're gonna find out what happens. I mean, you're gonna mess around and get Stonehouse hurt,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna have a lot of really, really pissed off Titans fans.
Yeah.
So
And I'm not sure why it's as bad as it is. I mean, I don't see the underlying cause. It comes down for me. It comes down to coaching. I mean, that's what I'm left at because you. It's not like you don't have talented players on special teams. I mean, your preseason list looked pretty good on special teams. That was kind of a bright spot for us. So I'm not sure, but something's got to change there. And again, that's kind of going to be interesting to see how Callahan handles it because that's his buddy. And everybody got mad about Vrabel and keeping his buddies, but at
mhm.
some point something's got to change. So now Callahan's going to be in the position that Mike Vrabel was in. So curious to see if he handles it any differently.
Well, and the main point is if you look at most of these plays that these like where Stonehouse actually did get blocked on two of those plays. One of them was Gibby, one of them was Chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys aren't slackers.
Exactly.
They're not dudes that are taking plays off, man. So it's not like they weren't in it.
Now Gibby was
Okay,
going to be a
it was
starter
a.
on this team.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say it was a bad scheme. It's
Yeah.
a bad scheme.
Yep.
The blocking scheme is bad. I mean, I swear to God, it looks like I'm playing Madden. Like all the dudes just all like kind of lob off to the left. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look great. They need to
Well,
figure that special teams out.
yeah, and look, there's going to be people get through every now and then, but when you do it the first time and then that shows up on film, and then the next team gets one, and then the next team almost gets one. There's something there. Teams are seeing a weakness on that special teams blocking. They're seeing a weakness and they're going after it. And like you said, it's scheme. There's just been no adaptation. There's been no adjustment, and that's a problem. And that's a coaching problem. So yeah, that's got to get cleaned up. I mean, you've got a bye week. There needs to be some real soul searching before you go out against Indy.
Absolutely. And everybody, we want you to stick around with us. We got a 40-second clip here for our sponsors, but do stick around because the rest of the show is mostly positive, like 90% positivity coming after this. We're just basically going to talk about all the defense and what they've done. So stick around with us. 40 seconds. Here we go. What's up, Titans fans? Maximus Titan fan here. Are you in need of professional excavation services? Look no further. Red Zone Builders has the expertise, experience, and equipment to handle all or any excavation project, big or small. Whether you need land clearing, site preparation, trenching, foundation excavation, or any other excavation services, they have you covered. Their team of skilled professionals will work diligently to ensure your project is completed safely, efficiently, and to your satisfaction. Trust the experts at Red Zone Builders to get the job done right. Hey, all right. Told you that was pretty quick. So,
Hey, speaking of commercials, do we still see the Mayo commercial if Rudolph starts? You think they
oh
pull
my
that?
God. Have you seen the new one that they just dropped where he's like throwing the mayo jar around like it's
Oh
football and he
yeah,
gets it at the
yeah.
end? He's like,
Oh my god. So I mean, what do you do if you bench him? How do you run those commercials? I mean, does is the cologne still for sale? Are they gonna recall the cologne? I'm trying to
no,
figure out
I
how that
mean,
works.
look, I hate it because Will Levis has made himself a joke. And
Oh my
then on top of the joke, because it wasn't that he made himself a joke with the helmet stuff, because I thought it was great, to be honest. I thought it was hilarious, and the fact that Sports Star would be doing this kind of stuff, something that I thought was funny. I clearly thought everyone else would think it was funny too. But then the 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 memeage, man. Like
yeah,
every week, dude, there's a
yeah.
new meme. And this week was the worst one, dude.
I
It
think so
was
too. I think
awful.
so too. I think it was the
God,
worst. Yep, I agree. That was a bad look. it was there was a lot of bad looks for Levis on Monday Night Football, and
did you see what Antonio Brown said about the Levis picture?
no, no, I didn't.
Go look that up on Twitter. I'm not gonna
Okay.
say it because it's slightly not kosher or not cool. It's not cool. NSFW, whatever you want to say. It's not PR well. Um, yeah, they might be. It does look like he sniffs bad mayo in that picture, though. It looks like he just, went into a jar that somebody kept in the cabinet or something.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, put yourself in his shoes. Could it get any worse? And I know he says he stays off social media, but like you're in a headspace where you can't stop turning the ball over. People literally leaked your number and called you to tell you not how good you are, but what they think about you in negative ways. Then you get injured. Okay, he gets injured. Rudolph comes in, does exactly what this coaching staff has been wanting you to do. You've got memes about you all over the internet. Like, I feel for the guy. I mean, this has been a rough go for Levis, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know if anybody would be really built for this.
All right, look, I said the show was going to be positive, damn it, and here we go again.
like, I
Uh,
just
no, I get it. I get it. I get it. I honestly do. But we got a whole week of
mm.
just simmering on this and hoping that man, come on, dude, man, got a clown here. But that's just terrible. And to be honest, he's playing worse than Bryce Young.
I mean, that's yeah, it's warranted, and that's why it just blows my mind that this coaching staff is so definitive that he is the guy. Like,
Oh,
no question is what Callie said. No question, when he's healthy, he's the
he's
starter.
our starter.
But this dude ain't mentally healthy. That's the problem. Like and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I just all those things I went through. Do you know how hard it is to go out and throw a football and win a game when all that's got to be going on in the back of your mind? Like that's tough. That's tough.
All right, so here, yeah, I know, right? That's why I feel bad for the Jags. I mean, I don't feel bad for it, but but this brings up a good question that I saw I thought about on Twitter earlier today. I was thinking about posting it, but I didn't, and I probably should have. But which would you rather have?
Anthony
The
Richardson.
problem the culture facing with
Oh.
injury prone, or the problem the Titans are facing with what the hell's he doing?
Titans have a bigger problem than the Colts. And I never thought I would say that going into this year. But the Titans have a bigger problem than the Colts because the things with Richardson, he shows flashes and he does some stupid stuff. but he's not. And yes, he has some injury issues, but he doesn't get in his head the way Levis does. I just don't think Levis has the best traits for an NFL starting quarterback. I just don't. I just don't. I love the guy. I love that he's high energy. I love that he's all over the field. I love that he tries to make plays, but it just doesn't fit into what the Titans need at quarterback. On Richardson's side, you can fix some of the health stuff. I mean, you can come up with a regimen. If Snead can stay healthy, Richardson can stay healthy. He's a young guy. He's athletic. You can do things to mitigate that. So keep yourself a good backup if something does happen, but let Richardson make plays. On the Titan side, I'm just throwing my hands up. Like, I don't know what you do at this point. I mean, they say they don't have a quarterback controversy, but this seems pretty controversial to me. Like, you have a guy that was supposed to be the franchise quarterback, and we're sitting here where I think probably 60% of fans would say that they think Rudolph should be the starter. I'm at a point where I think it's just Levis needs to just sit. He just needs to sit. He needs to watch how this offense runs from another perspective. So for me, if I'm answering that question, I think the Colts are in a slightly better position than the Titans are.
All right, so we had we'll quickly refer to this and then we'll move on because I want to quit talking about things a little late. But anyway, uh, we had the discussion. I don't know if we talked about it on the show or not, but I know we had the discussion of could Will Levis come back from a benching, and I was saying that it would hurt his ego too much to be benched. Uh, to be able to come back, I think he would just, immediately start showing the signs of, oh my God, I got to play hero because, now I'm back in the game. Um, but I feel like this might actually be a really sly way
Yeah.
of Callie benching Levis and being like, look, all see, see, I know you're better than Rudolph. All Rudolph did was not mess up. And I didn't give him any big plays on purpose to show you all you have to do is just not mess up and let this talented team win for you.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that's what's going on. I hope this all sinks into this young man over this next 2 weeks or this week off, whatever you want to call it. And I hope that it really resonates with him that all Mason did was not give away the football. Throw it away. Make your checkdowns, take the sack, whatever the case may be. He didn't make the stupid mistakes.
Yeah, and I see your point, and I think that's it's a real possibility that that's what this coaching staff aims to do. Exactly what you said was kind of mitigate this by telling him he's the starter, by telling him he's going to go out, and then yeah, bring him out in the bye, see if he has a chance. But that leash has to be this long. I mean, one
Oh yeah.
mistake, that's it. So I get where you're coming. My concern is that even if the coaching staff is coming from that perspective, it was a bad look on Monday night for me with Levis.
Oh yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if that's what they were going for, I don't know that he's going to receive that very well. Because what I saw after he was benched, whether it was injury, whether it was non-injury, I don't care. After he was benched, the helmet never came off. He left that helmet on until the last drive of the game. He was on the sidelines warming up, throwing footballs like he wanted to go back in that game. He wasn't going to sit down. He wasn't going to put a headset on and listen to the offense with Callahan, which that's what I would expect a starting quarterback to do. Even when you're not in the game, especially if you're injured, you put a headset on and you're involved in this offense and you see how they're calling stuff and you see what they're seeing on the field. Like, that's how you learn. That's how you learn. But I didn't see that. I saw him sulking, in my opinion. And then when the camera angles to him, whether it's editing or not, every shot I saw of Will Levis, he was with one coach and he was by himself. No players. Nobody was patting him on the back. Nobody was asking him how he was feeling, what shoulder it was, how it feels. He's just kind of segregated from the rest of the team. that is the exact opposite of what I want to see in a starting quarterback. You stay involved, you cheer for your teammates, you're giving guys high fives off the field because Rudolph did exactly what he was supposed to do. He played a great game for the offense they called, and he did what he was supposed to do. Will Levis should have been there cheering him on, and I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm not on the sidelines. I don't see exactly what happens, but I just didn't see Will Levis being that guy, being that one who's trying to learn, trying to get better, trying to be there for his team. I saw someone who was mad and possibly checked out of the rest of this game. And that's the bigger problem for me.
Yep, yep, yep. 100%. Everything you said. Don't have anything really the contrary. Anything you're saying. He looked like the kid at the end of Old Yeller. Damn, I'm showing my age there. I shouldn't talk about it. Anyway, the good stuff. 30
Absolutely.
30 point curse is over,
It's
y'all.
done.
It took us 1,002 days, but the 30 point curse is over.
It's
Thanks to
lifted.
Tony Pollard with like what 26 seconds
20,
left in the
26,
game on a
23 seconds. Yeah.
4 yard run,
Yeah.
punches it in. Ugh. Dude, I'll have you know, obviously I was drinking a little bit for the game, and obviously I was hyped at this point. Actually, when I saw that they were keeping Mason in the game and then we scored the other touchdown, that's when I literally looked at my wife and said, "We're gonna win this football game. This is gonna be our first win." But I didn't expect to get to 30. So when we hit
Absolutely not.
30, because I was amped for it. And when he busted out, I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." But then literally when he crossed the end zone line, I took my shirt off, I slung it around my head. I don't know if you've seen the video of the guy on he's pretty much on every social media, but he's like the one Titans fan slinging his shirt
Yeah.
around. I swear to God, that was me on Monday night, dude. I was just so amped for the 30 points. My God, 2021, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, great to break it. Let's not get back there. Let's not start a new streak. Let's keep this thing rolling. But yeah, and that was a conversation on the sideline. I mean, they knew where they were at. They could have took a knee and ended that game and got home, but Callahan wanted to break that streak, and I credit him for that. That's a real thing because I mean, just like we talked about stuff like that, it sets in the back of your head. So for him to get over that hump and have the guts to go for it there on fourth down with 20 whatever seconds left and get it, yeah, good on him. Good on him.
Yeah, and Callie, I mean, he won his first game as a
Yep.
head coach. That's another positive. I don't know if you watched the post game or not the post game, the the locker room speech, his victory speech or whatever to the
Yep.
guys. Yeah, I love that, because he was like, it's all credit to you. You guys worked hard. You play
Yep.
hard. And they did. The defense was lights out, son.
Absolutely.
Lights
Absolutely.
out. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Lights out defense. 184 total yards on offense for the Dolphins. 2 of 12 third down conversions. I
Yep.
think it was like one of three fourth down conversions. Lockdown, man.
Yep. And we talked about him earlier. We talked about, the Tyreek Hill effect and what he's able to do. And
Hmm.
they were at a point where they were doing exactly what I thought they should have, where they were just getting the ball in his hands. They were doing anything they could. I mean, they were doing jet sweeps with him. They were getting him in whatever they could just to get the ball in his hands. And the Titans, to their credit, they kind of shut him down. I mean, they kept him under what I expected him to be able to do and frustrated him. I mean, he was on the sidelines yelling, screaming, and that's how you beat a guy who's that good is you get in his head. And so that's exactly what they needed to do coming in. Waddle, another playmaker, he was absent. Just didn't show up like Miami thought these receivers could. And you're doing it on a day where Awuzie's not there, you don't have your best interior lineman in Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, you're not exactly 100% on defense, and you find a way to get it done against a Miami team that isn't 100% on offense. You did what you were supposed to do. That's what I give them the most credit for.
Yeah, man. And somebody. well, I'll just talk about Key and Diggs. Turnovers. We
Mhm.
talked about it. We said you have to have the turnovers, man. We got to win the game in turnovers. We haven't done it all season. We kept giving the ball away. We still gave the ball away one time, but at least we were able to take it back twice. Or, well, all right. I won't say the second one was a turnover. It was a prevention of 2 points. Still nice. Quandre Diggs interception on the 2 point conversion. And Key, of course, with that weird ass backwards pass thing that they were trying to do with Tyreek Hill. I don't know what that was, but heads up play on Key for picking it up. Probably should have took off running to the end zone, just in case, like everybody else in the world does. But whatever.
Hey, it happens. I'm just glad that the suspension has now lifted for Arden Key and he's able to get back in these games. We thought it was going to last 6 weeks. Maybe it's only going to last 4. So hopefully he can get back out there. I'm just glad the suspension's been lifted and he can play football again because he's been nowhere to be found up until this point.
That's fantastic. Um, man, the other guy I really wanted to talk the most about this week was Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Man,
Mm-hmm.
stepped up in a huge way. Uh, Kid, let's see here. Allowed 3 receptions on 5 targets for 9 yards. He also had 4 tackles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what you
I
wanted to
really
see.
feel like I was gonna say I really feel like this kid's gonna be the steal of the draft.
Yep.
If Awuzie really is out for 3 to 4 weeks, whatever they were saying, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable after watching him in that game going up against Waddell and Tyreek Hill.
Yep. Yep.
Great
Absolutely
job.
agree. Absolutely agree. And it makes you feel a whole lot more comfortable if they do need a little bit of extended time for Awuzie, because the more this young dude can play, the better he's going to get.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just super super excited to have that young guy on my team. And the story, man, because he left Florida, it's his home state. He was worried about, and that's a good point right there. But still, left Florida, comes back to Florida as a starting cornerback, smokes the team.
Mm-hmm.
Really good wide receiver. So really proud of him, man. Good job on Snead too. Although, what the hell, dude? The penalty? That was stupid.
Yeah.
That was stupid. Stupid play. You should know better. As a professional, you should. I mean, what the hell are you doing? If my middle school kid had pulled that off on my football team, I would be on the sideline. He would not be playing the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, and you didn't. I mean, you got kicked from the game for dumb shit, man. Come on.
Yeah, got to clean that up. Got to clean up the stupid stuff. Got to clean up the penalties, especially the pre-snap penalties. I mean, that's going back to offense, but just the penalties in general. I mean, this team is very heavily penalized through these first 4 weeks. That's something that's gone a little bit under the radar. Got to find a way to clean some of that stuff up. That's a problem.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Another guy I really wanted to talk about though, Sebastian Joseph Day.
Yep.
I was saying for the first 2 weeks they should take Key out, put Joseph Day in. All right, I'm not happy that it took Jeffrey Simmons to be sidelined for Joseph Day to get some really good playing time, but my God, did it look good? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
5 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for a loss. Joseph Day played amazing, amazing. Uh,
Yeah, and here's something I want to really point out about that too, both from Sweat and him. The snap count was high, and let's
yeah,
remember this was a hot game. Humidity's high. I mean, they were saying players were sweating just going through stretches and warm ups. Like it was not a fun night to play football. Both of them in for 83% of the snaps. That was a big knock on Sweat coming out of college. Was
mhm,
was he going to be able to be conditioned enough to play these types of games? And the answer for me was a resounding yes. So for those big
absolutely.
guys to be able to take that snap count and still affect the game the way they did, because it's one thing to line up and fall over. It's another thing to line up and go eat every single play and be a consistent problem in the backfield of this offense for Miami. So for them to stay on the field and do that, absolutely huge kudos there. And it makes me really excited about this defensive front going forward when Simmons able to get back in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like they had more of a rotational idea in the beginning of the game, but
They
once
did.
Coburn was hurt,
Yep.
it was like, well, it looks
Here
like
we go.
Joseph Payne's going to get most of the snaps. Let's do it,
Yep.
And man, Marlon Davidson played okay when he came in. I'm not taking anything away from that guy, but Joseph Day, PFF gave him a score of 85.9. He was the third highest scored player from PFF on the Titans this week. And that's saying something considering the top two players are Trevontae Sweat at 91 and Quandre Diggs at 91.2.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy. And we hadn't even talked about Quandre yet. Holy crap.
I was going to say,
Did that end up being a good pickup or what?
I mean, I even said it, I think 2 weeks in a row on my bold statements for the defense. I felt like, Quandre was going to break out, have his breakout game, and ball hawk.
hmm
And he pulled. I mean, he was all over the place, dude. Just about every three or four tackles you'd hear Quandre Diggs or see his number come flying around. Very good ball player. Super happy we got him.
Yeah, the big thing for me was I'm starting to see some cohesion with him and Hooker, a little bit more comfortability. Seems like they're able to do more and play off each other. And that's another one too. Amani Hooker, credit to him just being out there with the so I think
Yeah,
something broke in his helmet the game before or at practice and gashed his face. And I mean, he's out there. He was on the injury report and it just said face. And then, I saw what happened out there with a big huge patch on it, just doing what he can to stay in the game, which I mean, you're risking infection and all kinds of stuff at that point because it's not a minor scrape. Like this dude gashed his face open. But to see Diggs and Hooker start to get that cohesion with each other and be able to play off each other, that's exciting going forward for this defense.
I think it's a good question. Do you like your coach? I mean, yeah, for the most part. I think he's a very young coach. He's inexperienced as a head coach, so I think he's going to have his knocks on this first season. There's a little bit of a learning curve. But for the most part, yes, I do like our coach. I like him I guess, about as equally as I liked Vrabel when he first became our coach. I didn't really have any knocks against Vrabel until like, season 2 or 3 when it just seemed like he kept saying the same damn thing every press conference, whether we won or lost. I mean, it was very annoying and redundant. So having somebody in there that's fresh and candid with the media, that's what makes me like him. But what do you think, brother?
Um, yeah, I think he's a young guy. I think that he's a first time play caller. I think that I don't think he's in over his head, but I think he has a lot of things to figure out about running
Hmm.
an NFL offense from the head coach perspective, and he's in a good position to do it. I still think he can be successful. I think his schemes are ultimately good. I think he's a little bit timid on his game plans, deciding whether it's going to be run or pass and how much leeway are you going to give the quarterback. And I think he's faced a lot of questions, but I think he's handled it well. I think for the most part, he's made the right decisions and done the right things. Obviously, that question's gonna we're gonna see how he handles that going into the Colts, but I think that's gonna be he's facing his first little bit of uncomfortability. Um, so seeing how he comes out of it is gonna determine, I think, how successful this year can be. I don't think he's on the hot seat or anything like that. I mean, new coaches are going to lose games. It just happens. But yeah, he's got a lot to learn, and I still got some faith in him. But he's got some things to figure out. You really haven't had that much time with this team, and I think through these first 4 weeks, he's really, and he said it himself, he's just kind of now seeing what this team is. You've got a lights out defense, you have questions at quarterback, but ultimately you have a good team on paper, like we talked about. So he's just now really going to be figuring out what works. It's just going to be a personnel issue. It's going to be a personnel question for me. So, like I said, we'll see how he handles it.
I'm sorry. I read comments when they pop up
Yeah.
in this dude's chat all night, but
Hey.
that's hilarious. Uh, God, I hope not. I mean, right now the Jaguars have the number one overall pick, so and
Yeah,
I'd
and
say they pick a quarterback.
yeah, and I'm not, after a first win, I'm not calling for any early mock drafts or anything. I'm not ready as a fan to even try to get
No,
into it yet. It just
no, man.
I
We got
don't.
to at least get to the last game of the season before we start talking about draft stuff.
But it is important. The coaching staff does, and that's what I want to point out because you're like I said, with Callahan starting to learn what this team is, he's starting to see some of the holes on it. And I'm not talking about quarterback specifically. There are other spots on this team that can get absolutely better. So so in essence, this is still one of those figure it out years, but it's about figure it out more than just Levis. Um, those first rounds, you might be needing a tackle, you might be needing other positions, you might be needing receiver at this point. Because I mean, I don't know how long they're going to try to hold on to these guys like Hopkins. So it's something for the coaching staff to start thinking about and kind of narrowing down which guys they're going to throw out there and trust.
Oh, dang it. There we go. He asked you a direct question.
I mean, right tackle is the most obvious one. I mean, let's call it what it is. You still
Oh,
have
yeah.
serious problems on the offensive line. That's the first spot I'm looking for, and I don't want to be in a top five pick trying to figure out if I need a top five quarterback or a top five tackle. That's not a position I want to be in where I'm trying to trade up for better talent. I think a lot of the offensive line stuff has to be homegrown. And I think right now, as much as I hate to say it, you need a tackle before you can put anybody at quarterback and expect them to be a world beater. Because you can be successful with this team right now as a quarterback, but you're still going to have issues with pressure. Rudolph got in the game, still had issues with pressure. So yes, they've gotten better, but you need more personnel there. So that's the first position I'm looking at if it was a top five pick, which I hate to even think about at this point.
Yeah, I don't I don't know. I don't know how I would address that situation. If we're still in the same situation that we're in, oh my God, I don't
Mm,
got to take a lineman. I
you have
mean, I
to.
don't know.
You have to.
Unless one of these quarterbacks just absolutely just starts dominating. And
Yeah,
I'm not
but
talking
then
about
but
the
then you're in
quarterback
the
and
same,
freaking
and
I don't
that's
know. I
what
don't
I'm
like any of the two persons.
I don't either. I don't either. But let's say one just pulls away and looks like the greatest quarterback, and he's one of the generational talents. He's an Andrew Luck. He's a what everybody thinks Caleb Williams is going to be. He's this generational talent. You're still in the same position where you're throwing an inexperienced NFL quarterback behind a bad offensive line and expecting him to make plays. It's hard. Like I said, you can succeed in this offense, but you're never going to thrive in it until you have some pocket time. That's going to be the issue. So I'm not saying that's why Levis is bad. I think he's got his own issues to work out, but I don't think any quarterback could play extremely well behind what you're working with right now. And then you're just ruining
I
another
would agree
draft
with that.
pick.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. You definitely got to figure out the freaking. Although the offensive line did do a lot better of a job in this game than they did previous games.
Yep.
But I feel like part of that is the quarterback getting the ball out a little bit faster and not dropping 15 feet back when he.
Mhm.
I don't know why Will Levis does that, man. Why does he run like 7 steps backwards?
And I'm telling you, that's a lot of the. It's not all the problem. Again, you have a personnel issue, but that's a lot of the problem with this offensive line because they don't know where Levis is going to be. With Rudolph, he was able
Yeah,
to stand in the pocket, go through his progressions, make a decision. With Levis, he's drifting, he's running, he's scrambling. I mean, he's all over the place. He's running into guys that are sacking him. Not on every play. Sometimes people just miss blocks and fold like a lawn chair and lay on the ground like MPF. That happens. That happens. But Will Levis doesn't do them any favors by running around like a chicken with his head cut off at the first signs of footsteps.
no, no. All right, let's T Sweat. We already talked about him a little bit, but man, dude balled out. Not only was he the highest graded PFF interior lineman, but he was the highest graded rookie out of all the rookies in week 4. So, huge shout out to the big man. I was honestly worried about this one. I thought to myself, man, Jeff Simmons out. Is he going to be able to, still perform when he's getting all the attention and the double teams? And dude, not only did he perform, but he performed at one of the best games. So I feel like T Sweat is he's still figuring it out.
Oh
And the
yeah.
more he figures
Oh
it
yeah.
out, the better he's going to be. So I am super thrilled to have T Sweat. But it also makes me question Simmons this season.
Hmm.
Where'd you go, man? I mean, of course, I don't know. Let's let T Sweat get a little bit more. Maybe that's a little preemptive. But I got a shocking stat today that Simmons never played a full season for the Titans.
Oh,
But that was interesting.
that is
Out of the
interesting.
seven out of the 7 seasons he's played with us, not one time has he played all 17 games
Wow.
or 16 because he played back when they were 16. So
Yeah, and I mean, and these coming up games when he does get back, and I don't think it's going to be something that's going to take a lot of time. I expect him to be back for the Colts game, but now
mhm.
Sweat's kind of put him in himself in a position where he's put some good tape on film, and teams are going to watch that now, and they're going to see what he can do, and they're going to have to shift some people to him to try to limit what he can do on the interior of the line. That's finally going to open Jeff up to where it's fair to start asking these questions if he can't perform when Sweat's getting all the attention, because you're good when you're the only guy and you've got to go out and win the world by yourself, but now you've got help, and that's a lot of positions we're talking about on this team now. You've got help at other spots where you don't have to do it all. So when this kind of frees up from him and Swift shifts over to Sweat a little bit, going to be interesting to see if Jeff Simmons is able to pick up his play or if we're still seeing kind of the low performances. But the injury one, that's wild. That's wild. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't know that either because I think it's something like he's played 71 of the 87 possible games he could be in. So, I mean, that's a pretty
His
good
percentage is
percentage.
pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
But the fact that, yeah, there's never been a full season out of 7 seasons, it's like, damn, really?
Well, and
Uh,
let's take into account too, there are times like last year, a lot of guys, including Simmons, didn't play because it wasn't worth getting them hurt. You're not playing
yeah,
for
yeah,
anything in
okay.
that last game. So I mean, so there's a couple of those sprinkled in there. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's something to think about. If he keeps showing up on the injury report, that's definitely something to keep an eye on because I mean he's a big guy. He's a big guy and he moves. And big guys who move tend to get hurt. That's something we got to watch for Sweat too. So kind of an interesting little tidbit to keep an eye on.
Yeah, another thing I don't know exactly how this works out. I guess I probably should do more research before I blurt off like this on my show, but there was a dude on Twitter that posted that Sweat ran a 5.7640, I think, at 366 pounds at the combine. And when you factor in like weight versus speed, if you put it down as a normal sized person or whatever, like a wide receiver type prospect, it would be like a 4.21 or something like that.
That's crazy. That's
Again,
absolutely crazy.
I should understand the stat better before I start blurting crap off, but I have seen more advanced stats on Trevondre Sweat over the last 2 weeks. The man is just putting out great film,
So they
just
don't
fantastic.
just a fun little exercise here. They don't play this year, but let's say Titans somehow get to the playoffs and the Ravens come alive and they're in the playoffs and you have Derrick Henry in I formation running straight up the middle on this Titans defense and Sweat
I feel
meets him.
pretty good.
Who's winning that battle?
I ooh
Who's winning the battle
ooh
of Sweat and Henry one on one? Oklahoma drill. Winning that battle.
mm, mm. So you're putting him in a straight alley.
Straight
So
alley.
he can't avoid him. He has to run into him.
and Sweat came off the line unblocked. They were double teaming Simmons. He came off the line unblocked. He's standing in the gap, and Derrick Henry's running straight to him. So Henry has a little bit of momentum,
I
just a
gotta give
little
it
bit.
Sweat. I gotta give it to Sweat. I think
Okay.
Sweat stopped him in his track.
Okay. There you go. I mean,
Although I
that's
don't know,
that's how the
man.
Titans
I've
should
seen
draft from
Henry
here
run
on
over
out.
a lot
That's
of
that's
people,
how the Titans should draft from here on out. Just going up against
and
Henry
they
or
beat
Brown.
Henry.
Yep.
I like that. I like that idea. Another quick thing I want to mention before we go: Murray, Kenneth Murray, and uh, Ernest Jones have quietly had a fantastic game last week. They were everywhere, all over the place, making tackles. But I think the between the two of them, they had something like 21 tackles and 4 or 5 tackles for loss.
Mhm.
One of them, two of them, one of them had 2 passes defended, I think, also. So I mean, it's just sick numbers for the linebackers. Linebackers are doing a really good job, and because they're doing such a good job, they're not getting noticed that much. And to be honest, that's a good thing.
Yeah, at that position, the less you hear your name, the better. I mean, that's just how, unless you're Micah Parsons out there intercepting everything. I mean, that's just how it is. So good on them to keep showing up. Again, I'll keep saying it. It was a position that I was a little worried about coming into the season, and they've cleared that up. And I will say, I think this defense after this game with Miami, and again, yes, Miami was very depleted. But after this game with Miami, I feel like that defense, because I think I asked this, are they closer to the week 1, week 2 defense or closer to what we saw against Green Bay? And I think this has kind of shifted. I'm pretty confident that this defense is at least a top 10 defense in the league when the offense can even somewhat move the ball. When they're getting
Absolutely.
breaks, when they're able to do the best, this is still a top 10 defense.
Look, let's not make any bones about it, okay? The Miami's quarterback, there's a huge difference between Tua, however the hell you say his name, and Huntley.
Mm-hmm.
Huge difference. Huge difference. However, they still had
Yep.
Waddell. They still had Tyreek Hill,
Yep.
and he got away from Snead on one play. Yeah, Snead got completely burned on that play. He didn't score, thank God, because Huntley overthrew him. How the hell you overthrow Tyreek Hill? I don't know. Uh, but point is, they locked him down most of the game. Even on the underthrown ball, he's double covered. I mean, I still don't think Tyreek Hill goes up and gets that ball. So great job on them
Yeah. And
locking down a great deep in the run game. They locked the run game down too. So I mean, just kudos to the Titans defense. Like you said a long time ago, I feel like at the end of the show, this is the top, or at the end of the season, this is the top 5 defense in the NFL.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, and I mean they did what they were supposed to do in a team that was depleted. That's what the Green Bay game was supposed to look like. I mean that's exactly how it was supposed to go with a backup quarterback who they didn't expect to have a feel of the field really well. But Green Bay, I mean, they had less weapons than this Miami team did, even with the injuries. So they took care of business. That's what they were supposed to do against Green Bay. That's what they were supposed to do against Miami. And that's what they have to continue to do in a division that's still up in the air. I mean, we're going to come off week 6. We're going to start that division play right away. That if this was a must-win game, that one right out of the bye has to be a must-win game. Not just because it's the division, but you have to keep the momentum going on the offensive side, on the defensive side. You have to continue and try to put together some wins just to have a chance if you still want to be in this thing.
Yeah, and another what sums up this game perfectly is one little shot right after uh the Titans got him for throwing intentional grounding in the end zone, got a safety on him. They go to the sideline, and it just shows the coach just giving a blank stare. And in the background, you see Tyreek Hill just
Just
jawing off to
crazy.
anybody that'll listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And That was a beautiful shot
Yeah.
because it epitomized the entire game. We basically bullied them around. Yeah, and you're right. This is we talked about this earlier, but that's what got me upset about Sneed was that was I don't know what you punk ass. That was punk ass, dude. What the hell
Yeah.
are you doing? Stupid call, stupid mistake. You're a veteran. You got pissed off in the first week because you got two receptions for 18 yards, and you're over here slapping balls out of motherfuckers' hands because they beat you. That's sorry, just ignorant. But again, really happy we won. Any final thoughts, man, before we wrap it up tonight?
No, pretty much covered it. Again, it's great to get a win, and that's what we got to remember. Yes, I agree. I think you come out of this with a little more questions than you have answers. But this is still a team that is very much alive. So, Callahan's got to make these decisions. That's the whole reason you hired him, to see how he makes these decisions to make this team successful. So, whatever he does, I'm still going to support this team. Nobody get crazy with Levis this week. Anything can happen. So go into the bye, enjoy this one. Again, great feeling coming off a win, and like we say, that fixes everything. So just keep them rolling.
Yeah, man, and unless something crazy happens during the bye, which please God don't let it, um, we're going to take a bye as well. So we'll see you back pregame Thursday, not this Thursday, next Thursday,
Yep,
whatever.
15th.
Anyway, yeah, there
Oh,
you go. Thank you.
7th. There we go.
Sure, sure. Whatever you say, man, that sounds good to me. It's a day later from now. So again, guys, if you stuck with us, happy we won. Uh, get on YouTube, man. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
There
We
we go.
do exclusives there, especially on game day, pre-game, post-game, halftime. Uh, every now and then I throw out little nuggets of my own. Every now and then you might see Link throw out a video. Point is, you can only get that on YouTube. You really want to have exclusive access to it, and it's free. There's, all we ever ask for is just a like and a subscribe. That's it. So get over there, get subscribed to our channel. And until next time,
Tighten up.
tighten up. Peace out.